Yes, the at the admission stage, now there is an admission stage, we hear the case, and the tendency of the public means patient against the doctor is increasing. One is the litigation, it runs for 10 years, more than 10 years. Every patient, every complainant wants my case should be decided at the earliest, so he come up with his demand of claim more than 1 crore, because directly file in the National Commission because of delay. Secondly, the frivolous complaints. The mental agony, he puts mental agony for 2 crores. His disease is very small, he spent hardly 50,000. But his claim will be inflated up to 3 crores or so. So at the initial stage, we ask what is your income, what not, what amount expenditure you have done, and what loss you have sustained. Very recently, one case was there, he is claiming 3 crores compensation, cholecystectomy operation was there, and patient suffered leak. He has referred, doctor has referred to some hospital immediately, and patient got treated and cured. Now he is coming before us as he is telling I need 3 crores. Yes, what is the justification? No, I am incurring every year lakhs together. Okay, we have asked what is your profession? No, she is a staff nurse. Okay, fine. Whether the staff, what is your income? Where is the staff nurse certificate? We analyze and admit. And such frivolous complaints we dismiss with the cost. There is a section 26 and with the cost of 10,000 maximum. So this happens. So there should not, I think there should not be any fear amongst the medical professionals that many times what happens, somebody will send the notice of 2 crores and the doctor will become panic. Okay, chalo hum settle kar denge 10 lakh. What is this? It is not when you have not committed anything, why you come forward for the settlement or this compromise? So this is one thing. Many times frivolous complaints which we get the surrogacy and other. It is very interesting. We will discuss some cases later on.
Before you pass it on to you again back, 2 things I think came out of what Uday has been referring to, and it is directly linked up to our next points. There are several judges, there are practicing advocates, sir, you are here. Do you foresee in the next few years we should jointly put up a call for setting up of separate health tribunals? Is that some amount of solution of early trials, early judgments, sensible compensations can be afforded through that? And Santosh, one point we probably missed out when we on this, he should have had somebody from insurance companies. I'll tell you, हप्ते घेताना जितका व्हिजिलन्स आणि जितका प्रॉमिनन्स असतो ना तितका परतावा द्यायच्या वेळेला नसतो, आणि हा सगळ्यांचा कॉमन अनुभव आहे, वेदर वी आर डॉक्टर्स, लॉयर्स ऑर एनिथिंग, आणि हे बदलायला पाहिजे. I had a discussion with one of the top insurance company people, and they said, sir, for us every claim is a loss. I said, what are you talking? I said, what are you talking? If those are your ethos, कि every claim is a loss, I think we are fools. त्याच्यामुळे हे पण ही मुवमेंट आहे आज जे तू चालू केले असते, आणि ही पुढे नेताना या 2 गोष्टींचा विचार आपण साकल्याने करायला पाहिजे. सर, ओव्हर टू यू.
नमस्कार. आज सर्वांनीच मराठीत सुरुवात केली आहे म्हणून मी मराठीत सुरुवात करतो. आज विशेष म्हणजे आज फ्रेंडशिप डे आहे, त्या फ्रेंडशिप डेच्या सर्वांना शुभेच्छा देतो. हा, आज म्हणजे मेडिकल आणि लीगल दोन्ही फॅकल्टीची आज फ्रेंडशिप आहे असं आपण समजूया. तर सर्वप्रथम मी काकडे सरांचं विशेष आभार मानतो. मध्यंतरी बेहरे सर आणि नवरंगे सर इथे जिल्हा मंचात आले होते तेव्हा मीच हा विषय काढला की एकदा अशी एखादी कॉन्फरन्स व्हावी, आणि सुदैवाने आपले कंतीकर सर आहेत राष्ट्रीय आयोगामध्ये, त्याच्यामुळे त्यांनाही खूप इंटरेस्ट आहे. तेव्हा मीच थोड्याफार प्रमाणात इन्स्टिगेशन केलं असं म्हणायला काय हरकत नाही ह्या कार्यक्रम होण्यासाठी. तर हा कार्यक्रम त्यांनी फार थोड्या अवधीत हा आयोजित केला आणि चांगला यशस्वी केला. याबद्दल ते सर्व अभिनंदनास पात्र आहेत असं मी मानतो. जजेसने फारसं बोलू नये आणि जे काही त्यांचे विचार आहेत ते त्यांच्या जजमेंटमधनंच द्यावेत असं माझं मत आहे. त्यावेळी मी माझं जजमेंटमध्ये काही कोट केलेलं होतं, तर त्या संदर्भात मी तुम्हाला काही सांगतो. एक मेडिकल निग्लिजन्सची केस आली होती, पण कधी कधी कसं होतं की लिगल कॉर्नर्समध्ये तर मेडिकल निग्लिजन्स प्रूव्ह होत नाही, पण त्याच्याबद्दल त्या पेशंटच्या रिलेटिव्हचा आणि त्या संबंधित पेशंटचा फार ग्रीव्हन्स असतो. तर त्या बाबतीत काय करावं म्हणून मी एक काही पॅराग्राफ टाकलेलं होतं, ते मी आधी तुम्हाला वाचून दाखवतो. Even though medical negligence within 4 legal corners is not established, no doubt death of the family member while taking medical treatment is very painful for the remaining family members, and the loss which is sustained to the legal heirs is unbearable, and it cannot be compensated as the remaining family members lost the love, consortium as well as company of the family member. It is very difficult to establish the medical negligence in every case due to various technicalities. In such circumstances, if the Medical Council of India has made any provision as regards compulsory insurance of all the treatments in the hospitals, that would be appreciated, as in some cases the earning members' support of the family extinguished while taking medical treatment. It is not necessary that death may cause due to negligence of a doctor. In such circumstances, if the provision of no fault liability is made, which is available in motor accident claim, then the pains of the legal heirs of the deceased would be compensated to some extent. It is considered opinion of this forum that the copy of this order be served to Medical Council of India for taking necessary steps for bringing all the hospitals under the insurance schemes, which may help the patients as well as legal heirs of the patient who are unable to file the litigations. And thereafter I have sent this copy to the Indian Medical Council, and Indian Medical Council had sent the reply to that, and I am reading that reply. Sir, this is with regard to the order of Honorable Forum in the above mentioned matter, which was received in the office of Medical Council of India on 13th May 2015. In the said order, the Medical Council of India was directed to formulate rules and regulations as regards compulsory insurance of all treatments in the hospitals. It is respectfully submitted that the Medical Council of India is a statutory authority constituted by the central government under Section 3 of the Indian Medical Council Act 1956 and is entrusted with the following responsibilities: maintenance of uniform standards of medical education, both undergraduate and postgraduate, recommendations for recognition, derecognition of medical qualifications of medical institutions of India of or foreign countries, maintenance of Indian medical register. Medical Council of India does not regulate the functioning of hospitals and is also not vested with the authority to promulgate rules and regulations for the same. It is hence respectfully submitted that it is beyond the power of Medical Council of India to comply with the directions of this honorable forum. Thanking you. This answer is given by Indian Medical Council. Hence, I want to suggest this August gathering that if there is no any body to form any rules, we may ourselves may form a group insurance scheme, and that will be helpful to the doctors as well as patients and legal heirs of the patients. Thank you very much.
Sir, you absolutely made that point. In fact, I had put it down in this final summary. What is the role of a regulatory council? Whether it is Medical Council of India or whether it is on the Bar Council side. We definitely need amendments in the education. In the August gathering today, I have my colleague Dr. Shailesh Mohite. He heads the Forensic Medicine Department of Topiwala National Medical College, a premier institute. And this gentleman has created one of the finest forensic museums in TNMC. But both of us have felt that I'm not saying what we are teaching our graduates is outdated. I'm only saying, and I'm sure Shekhar will agree, is that it is not up to date, and that is the problem. So we will have to take this movement which Dr. Kakade, you have started here. So if I just take the string ahead of what you said, issue comes up indemnity insurance. The Regulatory Council is silent on that. They are more interested in regulating and deregulating the medical colleges. That is their, I think, agenda number one. And the professions. Now the point is, a houseman who is working under me and who is operating under my supervision, either in my presence or in my absence, I have the vicarious responsibility of whatever he does. He makes a mistake, and I'll be honest, there is no surgeon in this world who has not made mistakes. That includes me as well as Dr. Sanjay. If any surgeon ever says that he has not created a complication, stop discussing further. And it happens at my hands even today, and I admit that. Now see, the houseman is not covered at all. So it came to a situation at a voluntary level, and this happened after I passed law from University of Mumbai, that I used to tell my students, unless and until you have insured yourself, maybe 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, whatever is that, you will not get the knife to cut the surgery. And that was a movement to incultivate a habit amongst them. See sir, today the LIC component is well rooted, all of us will have LICs. How many doctors are genuinely having adequate amount? And here I need guidance from both of you. What is that adequate amount? Today we are going very arbitrarily. Anesthesia 10 lakhs, cardiac surgery 20 lakhs. Pediatric surgery, I operate something on day 1 of life, and he sues me when he becomes 30 years of life saying, you messed up my testicles and that's why I'm not able to create a baby. These are the issues. So how much should be the indemnity insurance? Can we think of a group indemnity insurance? Is it adequate? So I want some guidance from you.
I had been at Ichalkaranji in the year 1989-90. At that time, I found some medical negligence cases when I was working as a judicial magistrate first class. At that time, all the doctors of Ichalkaranji have accepted that the concept of the group insurance scheme, and they were paying their premium. If there is a group insurance, the burden will be distributed. No? If all the doctors in the medical council of, in the Maharashtra or in the Pune, or they have formed a group insurance scheme, that will be more beneficiary.
Sir, it's a most vital point, and I'll request Dr. Kakade to look into it. Along with the group insurance scheme and the proper scheme where the claims will be really taken care of, that is the underlying principle, because insurance companies left, right and center are rejecting. And apart from that, there has to be a scheme where litigation against the doctors must be covered. And I am not finding except one doctor who had started it, and that did not succeed. In fact, that was more of a fraud rather than an insurance scheme. I will not name the doctor. He is a medical legal practitioner. But there is no effective insurance scheme by a recognized insurance company covering the litigation costs. Whatever the litigation costs are covered today are like, if court passes the order, then only we will pay you. But there is no fault liability or indemnity, as rightly put by Dr. Oak, that minimum indemnity where a patient in a conciliation proceeding can be paid, even if there is no fault, as rightly said, due to trauma and the other things which are gone in, that must be covered. And I think that's a burning issue today. I think we must address to that issue. There is a second important issue. Yes, Dr. Gupta.
I just mentioned to you one, there is a scheme through Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecological Society of India, that's POXI, and this scheme is for the gynecologist members through the society, and this is a insurance scheme. The individual premium has to be paid, but we had a agreement with the United Insurance Company, and where they cover not only the litigation cost, but even the out-of-court settlement situation is covered. If there is absolutely res ipsa loquitur kind of case and doctor doesn't want to go into the litigation and has to be settled, it is done. Not only that, many of the hospitals have to have the staff which is unqualified, which is not covered by regular insurance situation, which is also covered. So, of course, this, we have a committee who decides which can be settled out of court and which can be settled in this thing. But this has not still stood in a difficult case. The simple cases have come in front and that have been settled. But we are really a big difficult case. But this is kind of situation that we are talking about that can be done nationally with all other societies.
Dr. Gupta is right, and I think this information must be circulated. Dr. Kakade, I think we can do that to all the doctors as well as to the lawyers, and we can guide people. What is most important, which is coming, as rightly Dr. Oak is saying, is out of this what comes in, then next is the arbitration clause.
Sir,
And whether such an arbitration, doctor has a question. Yes.
yeah.
Sir, one of the issues that is debated is, sir, you were talking about permitting or training your houseman in surgery. Now, this was the issue that even consumer courts have pointed out on credentialing. The credentialing of the doctors that you recruit. Now, today, there are umpteen number of cases revealed where there are fake certifications, unqualified people being appointed to do these things. So hospitals and teams have to be more careful in credentialing. I was eyewitness to something in Middle East where one of the Indian doctors who was sent there, while going he qualified as, in Middle East there are different gradations. One is as a specialist, then at the higher level as a consultant. This doctor was supposed to be a specialist, and every 2 years you are supposed to re-credential yourself. And the health ministry does that in the Middle East. Do we have such a thing in India? Why don't you create such a thing? And that's where medical council should be busy in doing these things. And credentialing is one of the major issues, because in hospitals, reference itself can be built up as a hearsay. I am not very familiar with how it is done as a normal practice. Maybe very meticulous hospitals, reputed hospitals might be doing it. But credentialing is considered as one of the major flaws resulting in such grievances.
I take your point. I'll just dilate on that. My experience has been being the chief of public hospitals. So the appointments are as per MCI norms. So every doctor who works there is a qualified MBBS or even MD/MS when you are at a super specialty level. What Dr. Gupta referred and what is another group in smaller nursing homes. See, finally the economics has also to be met. And it may not be possible to appoint a qualified registered nurse every 8 hourly to run into those. If you don't do it, my labor court colleagues will drag me. So therefore, the point is, your point of re-credentialing, I have also made that as a summary point. 22 years back, I was a young associate professor. I wrote an article, re-credentialing of medical profession at the end of 5 years, need of the day. I was flagged by all associations.